Hey, good morning. Happy Monday morning to you. It's a great Monday. New week. For me, new trail. I gotta look at a map. I look at a map after I ride. You know, I go get a brochure at the start of a trail, and then after I ride, I sit down and look at it. Something with the timing there is off. Okay, today, Ghost Town Rail Trail. Why is it called the Ghost Town Rail Trail? Because along this rail line are remnants of old towns that are long since gone, and there's apparently several of them that were significant towns along this rail line in the past. So of all the trails I've ridden this week, this is one that gets a lot of press. So I'm really excited to see what this one's going to be about, because oh my goodness, sorry, I have got to stop. There's a Muffler man. Oh my gosh, we've got to stop and get pictures of the Muffler man. Hold on. Look at that. It's an original. It is an original Muffler man. See the one hand up, one hand down? He's been repurposed. Okay, sorry for the total diversion here. I'm a Muffler man fan. You guys know the history of the Muffler man? Look him up I'll put a description in Google. I don't know the exact number. There were a number of Muffler men made, and the reason they're called Muffler men is because they held a muffler, and it was for a company that sold those, and you can tell because, again, it's one hand up, one hand down, but most of these little statues many of them are gone, obviously. There's a documentary on YouTube about a guy who restored these. I'll also put that in the description, and I think he's since passed away, but he had I want to say 10 of them on his property, and then he had restored a whole bunch of them. You see them all over the place, and again, they get repurposed. There's one in Ocean City, Maryland, that is outside of a little, mini golf amusement park sort of thing, and he's been turned into a pirate. But he's a Muffler man. All right, sorry for the diversion. I love seeing Muffler man. It's awesome. They just pop up in the strangest places. The main corridor of this trail is, I believe, 30 miles long. And then there's some little offshoots and connectors that add another 20 to 25 miles. But I'm going to stick with the main corridor and see how far I can get out. And then if the weather looks bad, I'll turn around and go back. It's that simple.
This is very cool. You know, it's kind of an overcast, sort of gloomy day. It's you know, the thing about this trail, it's so aptly named, because you're riding along and then you see something like that just sort of sitting in the woods, and sometimes it's back in the woods, and yeah. And then the wind's whistling in your ears, and yes, Ghost Trail. So across the river there, I stopped and read the signpost. That was the town of Cleghorn. And small. I think most of these towns were pretty small, like, you know, 300 or less. There's one big one up here that's like another 8 miles on the trail. That was probably the biggest. Anyway, we'll talk about that when we get there. I got off the trail to come down here and see an old furnace. The remnants of an old furnace. The Buena Vista furnace. Wow. Leave the bike for size. So that blast furnace, it said that it employed about 60 workers. It said men and boys, child labor. And you know, so you don't understand what's going on. You know, what they were doing was mining iron ore out of the soil. You've seen some of these piles of stuff. They're getting iron ore, then they're putting it in these furnaces and creating what's called pig iron, which is just a kind of a raw, unrefined form of iron, and then put it on the train, take it into Pittsburgh, where it would be refined into more high-grade steel. It said they were paid relatively well, but they also said it was incredibly dangerous work. Just, I can't imagine. Wow. This is history you can feel right here. This is not just reading about facts and figures. So Wheatfield had a furnace just a little bigger than the one that we saw earlier. A few more people employed, same timeline. I didn't mention that these furnaces were in operation for less than 10 years. So that was another thing about these ghost towns, is they kind of sprang up quickly and then slowly disappeared. It's kind of interesting. I always think about it, it's easy to get your head wrapped around the start of a town, you know? I mean, so somebody shows up, they put up a tent, they start to build the furnace, some other people show up. Next thing you know, there's some actual structures, and you know, and then things are going, right? They're building stuff, whatever. But it's the other side of history, the other side of the timeline that, I don't know, I can't get my head wrapped around. Like, okay, so the furnace stops working, and you know, did they just all pick up and leave? Some people stick around and continue to scratch out a living life. You know, I'm picturing, okay, so your neighbor to the right, they put the latch on their door, put all their stuff in a wagon and take off. Then maybe the person next to you on the other side does the same thing. And I don't know, was there a person at one time that just said, okay, I guess it's a wrap? Okay, so this area, all right, here's a good example. Look back in the woods there, you see that foundation? You see that all through here, and it's, well, it's history. So this area was called Wehmeyer, and I stopped and read the plaque there. I actually was reading about this town on Wikipedia last night, which is the source of all knowledge and 100% accurate. But you know, this town lasted for 30 years. And like I was just saying, if you look at that plaque, look at the bottom line, and it says in 1934 they sold all the houses for lumber and one house remained. That's the history I want to understand. What was that one person doing? Or family? Why did they stay? I guess it was home. 30 years? Maybe you were one of the first people here. Maybe you raised your family and this was the only home you knew, so you stayed. Here's a cool little graphic. It had a doctor's office and a company store, and it had a baseball team. Wow. Here it is. Eliza furnace. What is the Eliza furnace, you say? There you go. All right, there you go. In a nutshell. Get away, fly. There's the process of making pig iron. Pig iron bars. There you go. That's the end product. Bars of pig iron. Another interesting graphic. Here's all the different jobs required to run a furnace. Look at that. So I stopped back at the furnace to talk to a lady who rode up on her bike, and she suggested there's a little trail that branched off. I didn't film it, but it branched off and went north, and it's a little extension. And well, it was her opinion, and that is the most beautiful part of the trail. So I think I may, who knows, maybe I'll cut a little bit short here today and go ride that for a little bit. Or I'm just gonna come back. I already have another trail that I didn't get to finish, so I'm gonna have to come back for that. Maybe I'll come back and do this. Definitely a grade. A decent grade. This is gonna be fun to go back down. So I'm 27 miles in, so as much as I'd like to go on to the end, I think I just bought a sandwich, so I'm gonna stop and eat, and then I think I'm gonna head back. I did not perceive the uphill like I am experiencing the downhill right now. I guess this was a bigger grade than I thought. Yeah, I'm doing 18 miles an hour. That's I don't do that normally. right, you think I was gonna forget? All right, I looked at my little card, and I'm gonna answer 2 easy ones. First one is, this is really simple. Do I listen to music while I'm out on the trail? And the answer is no. Or podcast, for that matter. I love the sound of just nature. I love the sound of gravel under my tires. Listen to that. It's wonderful. You know, I've talked to people that say, yeah, man, it gets boring. You know, maybe it's gonna get boring someday. I don't know. I rarely feel bored on these trails. And maybe it's because I'm just really trying to take it all in. So no listening to music. All right, question number 2. Camping versus hotels. Or I'd say indoor versus outdoor. My ultimate would be like a ratio of 2 or 3 to 1. 2 to 3 nights outdoors, 1 night indoors. And really, it's just practical. As I was talking about yesterday, staying clean, getting a shower every, 2-3 days is probably a good thing. I also try to stay in places that have a laundry room, because I'm not carrying 2 weeks worth of clothes. So stopping and doing that's good too. Having said that, I really enjoy camping. I stay in hotels in some places when I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where a campground is, and I don't know about parking and whatever. Yeah, then I fall back on a hotel or a motel. But camping, it's so great to meet people in campgrounds, other riders, or just people getting away for the, day, weekend, whatever. It's just so much more conducive to conversation, and I've met so many nice people, campgrounds. I've had so many great conversations. My decision to retire really was made last year at a campground. Steve, if you're watching this, Steve, you know what I'm talking about, Steve from Detroit. Sorry, I never got your last name. If you ever see this, that was just a heck of a conversation. He has no clue. Listen, everybody, Steve has no idea how much his words meant to me. Sitting around a campground. You just can't do that in a hotel. And of course, I just think campgrounds are way more relaxing. Sitting around a campfire, sleeping outdoors. I remember last year, no, that was 2 years ago, sorry. Staying in a campground, I took the rainfly off of my tent, and it was one of the clearest nights that I can remember in my entire life. I know because I got out my glasses. The sky was just, it was one of those nights full of stars that you'll never forget. And I'm laying there in my tent, looking up through the top of my, mesh tent, and it was incredible. So, anyway, there you go. I guess if I were to say camping versus hotels, it's 3 to 1. That's my opinion. I don't think staying in hotels is like cheating or something. Somebody said that to me recently. I was like, come on. And quite frankly, if money's not an issue, or let's say you're gonna go on a once a year tour or something, and look, carrying all the gear is not a small matter. So if you want to stay in hotels, good for you. Don't let that stop you. There you go. All right, my phone just dinged. I looked at it. It says there is a severe storm alert. So it's time, top gear, down in a tuck. 18.2 miles an hour. I'm almost there. Well, I made it back, but I had a little repair I had to do. That's always fun. It started making me nervous. All right, so I don't know. It's gonna blow over. Whatever. Okay, look, super high marks. That is a great trail. I understand now. I mean, it's so many people tell me you gotta go out and do the Ghost Town Trail. Actually, I had plans to ride it before COVID. And then, well, you know, one thing led to another. I didn't get a chance to do it. I get it. That is up there with some of the finest trails ever. But here's the thing. I stopped and got this map. It's called the Trans-Allegheny Trails brochure. Okay, you turn to the back of this thing. Trans-Allegheny Trails to do. Westmoreland Heritage Trail, Kiski Riverfront Trail, Roaring Run Trail, West Penn Trail. Come on, what are you doing to me? Here I am coming out here to ride the trails, and here's all these other ones. I'm gonna have to come out sometime and do all these now. All right, that's enough for today. Thanks for coming along.